Christ clean me up. Christ clean me up. I ain't got a stain and I'm feeling brand new. Yeah, 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 yeah. Christ clean me up. Christ clean me up. I ain't got a stain and I'm feeling brand new. Yeah, 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 yeah. Listen, yeah. I ain't got a stain on me, 'cause it's all by his grace, homie. Gave his righteousness, now I'm spotless. Yeah. Didn't earn it, but I still got it, yeah. Woo. Not by my works, yeah. Now I'm in his church, yeah. Ain't nothing I could earn. Did it by his own, yeah. You know I didn't deserve. Now I'm singing out, Christ clean me up. Christ clean me up. I ain't got a stain and I'm feeling brand new. Yeah, 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 yeah. Christ clean me up. Christ clean me up. I ain't got a stain and I'm feeling brand new. Yeah, 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 yeah. Christ clean me up. I was headed to hell, I was a mess, my goodness, it's unworthiness. But now I'm feeling brand new, I ain't worried about a thing. His glory now I sing, yeah. Got a new mind, got a new heart. Glory to God, who art worthy of all praises. By tongue, tribes, and nations, he dressed us in this white robe. His righteousness we now clothe. Glory to God and Christ alone. Glory to God and Christ alone, yeah.
All things theology, we chop it up properly, without an apology. Gotta give doxology to God hollow, because this is how we do it at All Things Theology.
Yo, 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 grace and peace. Welcome back to another episode of All Things Theology, where I'm your host, Kdub. Today, we're going to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Working on my Spanish accent. You know, I lived in South Texas for a little while, so I had to represent for my Hispanic brethren. But before we do that, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not, and as always, click the notification bell so you can be aware when I go live and drop content. So yes, I wanted to talk about this issue because New York U.S. representative takes some shots at Christianity. And also, my wife. Yeah, take some shots at Christians, Christianity as a whole. It's going to be interesting, but, you know, her views on abortion is interesting. You know, she claims to be a woman of faith, and so we're going to check that out. But you guys want to stick around because I have a special guest that have agreed to come on today's podcast, to get today's show. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Like I said, don't go anywhere. Sit back. Enjoy your time here. Hopefully you enjoy the content, the things that I have to say concerning today's topic. But you guys know how I like to do it. I like to get right into it. You're tired of just hearing me ramble, right? Let's get into it.
Everything kind of got set on fire. And there's just been a huge amount of...
Before I get into the video, one more thing. Because I know some people mentioned I haven't had Waterloo in a while. And so I'm back with a new flavor, blueberry. So you guys know I'm charged up if I have my Waterloo. So let's go.
Everything kind of got set on fire. And there's just been a huge amount of public events from the Supreme Court, from Shireen Abu Akleh, the Palestinian journalist that was killed, to the Buffalo shooting, New York redistricting. I mean, it's just been...
Oh, by the way, she made an hour-long Instagram post discussing various issues, but she spent a large time of that, speaking on abortion. And so you guys know how I like to do. I want to review those things. I want to equip you on how do we deal with the culture in light of this topic, right? Do we just sit back and let the culture win and we just be quiet and passive Christians don't say anything? No, right? So I want to give you an apologetic on abortion and how to deal with it. So that was my heart behind this video today.
Wild. And so I figured we have a lot to talk about, as well as I figured I'd add a fundraiser here for National Abortion Funds, which is a national network of several different individual abortion funds that help facilitate.
I kept this in here for a reason, because here she in the beginning she and rightly so, she does this about people that were being killed, right? Buffalo shooting, and so she appeals to all these things, right? Like, man, it's so sad, and I agree with her. I absolutely agree with her in that sense. Like, it's sad when someone goes on a mass murder, right? As in today in Uvalde, Texas, right? Evil, completely evil. No less words can we describe than that of someone who does that. But then, right after that, literally the next sentence, she goes and say, hey, donate to the abortion, right? The mass murdering of children, right? Abortion, which has more children have died from abortion than people died in the Holocaust, right? Donate to this. It to me, that those are contradictory statements. You cannot say you care for life, right? And say you're sad over these lives who've been lost over, like I said, the Buffalo shooting, and like I said, the one today in Texas. And like I said, and then turn around and be okay with the children that are dying in the womb. We'll return more to that topic, but to me that is a complete contradiction.
People being able to access their ability and their right to health care.
I am sick and tired of liberals, of people who endorse abortion, minimizing it to, it's just healthcare. No, it's not. For whom? The baby? The baby dies. The mother? You want to talk about abortion stats. It's not healthy for a woman to commit abortion. She's more at risk at suicide. She's more at risk at abortion. She's more at risk for cancer. She's more at risk for infection. They don't tell you all that when you go into Planned Parenthood to terminate your child. It's not healthcare. Yes, exactly. It's not healthcare. Call it death care. It's not healthy to kill a baby. Hello? What if people described what happened today in Texas as that? People would lose their minds, and rightly so. But with abortion, we many Christians have bought into the language of the pro-choice. Even the language of pro-choice is disturbing. The choice to do what? Terminate the child? No, you should not get that choice to do that. Absolutely not. Sorry, I'm fired up. Yeah, but we're gonna make it through this. Listen, I got a lengthy video here today. It's one of those sit back and hopefully it'll be learning experience being here. Yes, that's right, Susie Q. Abortion has been linked to higher risk of breast, ovarian, and cervical cancer. That's right. I agree abortion is wrong, but where do we find it in the Bible? Sit back and relax, and we will go through that. We will go through that. But a Christian should understand. Well, let me give you one. Thou shalt not murder. There we go. Very, very simple, but we will go further than that. We will go further than that. But real simple, thou shalt not murder. Right? Real simple.
And, it is so awful that we're in this moment. But right now, I really think that one of the most effective things that we can do is to help people whose rights are being attacked right.
Help people murder their child. That's what's being stated. I really wish pro-abortion people would just come out and say what they mean. Yes. You know, if I was speaking as a pro, yes, people should have the right to murder their children. Just come out and say that, because that's effectively what you're doing. But it's cloaked in language. See, I give the liberals one thing. They're very good at narratives. They're very good at language, right? But we have to be good in our language as well. And what I mean good, I don't mean deceptive, because they're deceptively good. That's what I'm saying. And many people have been bought into that deception.
Now access the health care and the abortion care that they need. The Supreme Court has long been radicalized, and you have basically several people that have lied. I don't know if we're able, I don't know if, I mean, it certainly feels like they absolutely misled, we'll say that, according to some senators, misled them in their statements in order to get on the Supreme Court. And now that they're on the Supreme Court, they're ruling the way that they're ruling. But this is a radicalized Supreme Court where several justices were appointed by.
So think about this. They're radicalized because, many people are, well, with the Supreme Court issue that came out not too long ago, where they're saying, hey, we're reversing that decision. She's calling that radicalized because by God's grace, right, God's mercy, some people are saying, and I don't know their reasoning, and right now I don't really care because right now more babies will live because of that. And so she's saying, well, they're radicalized because they don't want women to have access to healthcare, which we know is code word for abortion. Woman's right, which we know is a code word for killing your child. So yeah.
A man who facilitated insurrection against the United States government, and that's clearly being reflected in the decisions coming out in the court. But anyways, I figured one of the best things that we can do right now.
That was clearly a reference to Donald Trump, which, by the way, real quick, like I said, I did have a special guest, so if you guys can just bear with me for a moment. That special guest wants to come on and address this issue about this so-called insurrection. Yeah, he definitely thinks it's unfair that, he's been labeled this, and that's kind of what he is known as. And so I told him, hey, he can come on my platform, and I'll give him a shot to address these issues. So hold on real second. Let me get him on, because I know how it can get. Bear with me. This is the Donald Trump, the false accusations of the AOC saying I committed an insurrection. We all know that's a lies. She's a liar. But these liberals, they can't help but lie. All of them, all liars. So I appreciate Kdub letting me come on this great theological podcast. I mean, he makes a great podcast, one of the best of the best. When you're listening, you want to subscribe to the podcast, by the way. I mean, it's a very good for your theology, if you want to have a good theological education and learn from it, subscribe to the podcast. But anyways, we want to talk about this abortion. AOC saying I commit insurrection, but I did not. But I'm going to give the mic back to Kdub. This is his podcast, so, we'll get back to regular scheduled program. And so, yeah, I mean, there it is, folks. I mean, the man has spoken very clearly. He had nothing to do with that insurrection. And so I said, hey, you can come on my podcast. You can set the record straight. I mean, and so, yeah, let's very huge opportunity I had right there, that the former president of the United States would come on my my platform, I'm very thankful. So it seems like a lot of you guys were, thankful that he would come on. But we got to get back to regular. Yes, I agree. His hair is always on point. I mean, that's what happens when you're a billionaire. I mean, you can have great hair. You can make your hair great again. But
directly assist people.
We're going to get back to this. This is why you came, not because of that, right? So we'll be back. Let's get into it.
Need abortions in places where they can't get them, or where they are being deeply marginalized, stigmatized, prevented from getting them. So, whether that's financially, you can do that right here while I'm chatting about and catching up with you all, or it could be logistically. And I just want anyone who's hopping on here to know that if you are in any place that is outlawing abortion, that is trying to prevent you from accessing it, whether it's Texas, Oklahoma, or any other place, you are welcome in New York. And we will do what we can.
Imagine being so sick in your mind, right? You live in Texas. You live in Louisiana. You're so sick in your mind that abortion is banned in those states, right? That a New York representative invites you over thousands of miles, right, to kill your baby. That's sick to me. That's disturbing. That is very disturbing. Very disturbing. Yet she says, "Come on, you can kill your baby in our state. We're perfectly fine with that." Disturbing.
To welcome you. We have taken actions on a state level, including opening up abortion funds to help people get the transportation needed to.
Not only will we allow you in the state, we'll pay for your funds to get here. And I think she even talks about housing to stay here after your abortion. Just disturbing. Just disturbing. Ugh.
Get here, and I also know that there's just an enormous amount of organizing efforts that are launching for people to open their homes to people who are seeking an abortion or needing that care. And it just never
needing that care. Like I said, be very keen on the language that's being used, right? Watch for the language.
Stops, just shocking me, the amount of ignorance that goes into this. I mean, people think...
I don't disagree with her. There is a lot of ignorance. And there's a lot of outright just objective evil as well.
Even when people talk about quote-unquote late abortions, people have no idea what goes into that, the heartbreak of that. People who are getting an abortion, or what is technically an abortion, in your late second trimester or your third trimester, that is not done out of some sort of elected, something that you want to do, and I think we need to take a...
Yes, it is. No one putting a gun to you to walk in there in that clinic and murder your child. What other decision is it made? These people aren't being forced to do this act. And if anybody who's ever done abortion ministry, I've done it. I've supported others who've done it. I've watched from others. Majority of the women who go in there aren't going there. What do you call? Like troubled. Like, I feel like this is my only option. Majority of the women who go in there, if you've watched them have a conversation with someone, say, "Hey, please don't murder your child. Please don't murder your child." They are, "I can't wait to kill my baby." It's a pretty vile thing if you've ever done abortion ministry. It's a pretty vile thing to see these mothers with pregnant, right? You can see the sign of pregnancy right from her stomach, and to see you know, to see them saying these things. It's vile. It's very vile if you've ever done abortion ministry. And oftentimes they'll have another kid with them. That's one of the most insane, asinine things I can think of. You have a baby with you, yet you're pregnant, going to murder that baby. Just foolery to me.
The shame out of the situation as well, because honestly, it is your choice. You should not be shamed for your choice.
Yes, you should. You should be very shamed in the act that you committed. You should be shamed to murder a child. I would. I'm ashamed of all the sin I've committed. You know, I understand being in Christ, there's no condemnation. I understand that. But sin should bring shame. Because you have broken God's law, right? You have violated his standard. Sin should bring shame. It should.
I have, publicly kind of talked about my experience with sexual assault in the past. And, after you experience something that traumatizing.
Let me address this issue, because this is the common response of the day, as if pregnancies are 50% the result of sexual assaults. But I'll address it. Let me say this first. A man raping a woman is one of the most cowardly things a man can do. It is a disgusting evil for a man who is generally stronger to take advantage of a woman who is generally weaker, right? I have no respect for a man who does that. He should be thrown under the prison. Not just thrown in prison, but thrown under it. So let me say that first, so people don't accuse me of being insensitive to those things, because I'm not. I'm just as passionate about that. But to kill a child for the sins of the father is just as heinous as that act. Like I said, YouTube will probably ban me. This might be my last video. So we'll see. It's just as heinous to do that. Right? You don't kill a child for what the father did. Right? If a father was to go in a bank, let's put an analogy, right? People like analogies. If a man was to go rob a bank, he gets caught, it will be, I don't even know how to describe the words. If, the son was at home during this, the son was at home while the father committed this crime. I don't have the words. If the justice system said, you know what? We're also going to punish your son. Matter of fact, the son gets the worst punishment. We would all look at that and say, that's crazy. That's crazy. Right? We would all say that. But here, abortion and the sexual assault, many people are saying, no, that's a good thing. Let me read a comment by Neelan, because I do want to address this for those who have gone through it. Neelan says, my wife had an abortion when she was in her 20s, pre-conversion, and it haunted her to this day. The mental effects are dire. Thank God there is forgiveness in Christ. Amen. Amen. And this is someone who has committed abortion, and to this day it's affected them. See, they don't talk about that kind of stuff. And I do want to be very clear that if someone has committed abortion, there is forgiveness. God, they are not too far from God that he can't save them nor forgive them. So I hope what I say today does not bring further condemnation. Right? But I do want to speak strongly against sin, because guess what? We can speak, people, if I was talking about adultery and I was speaking hard on sin, people wouldn't have an issue. And I'm not saying Neelan. I know Neelan agrees with what I'm saying. But I'm saying I've often seen people soften abortion because of I don't know, the heinousness of it, or fear of speaking so strong that we sound insensitive. No, we have to speak strong on all kinds of sin. Right? Not give it a pass and say, well, you know, the women are victims. No, they're not. They are participating in this evil as well. So let me continue.
If you're a person that menstruates.
What did she just say? Hold on. What, did y'all hear that? Am I the only one that hear that? Let me see if y'all caught that. Because this is showing the liberal agenda and ideology as well. But let me see if you guys caught that.
In the past, and you know, after you experience something that traumatizing, if you're a person that menstruates.
A person that menstruates. Now, what is that? What is that? I know women who menstruate. I don't know persons that do. See, this is going in the whole liberal, like, we can't even define what a woman is, right? We can't even define gender, man, woman, right? So she has to use inclusive language for the people who are gender fluid, I guess, whatever that means, right? So no longer can we define man and a woman. And by the way, she's not going to be real consistent, because I'm pretty sure she's going to use woman later. So it's very convenient when they want to use the language, right? When women are victims, or, you know, when they want to talk about, what is it? Intersectionality. Oh, women rights, right? She even used that earlier. Women's rights, all this, women's rights. But then when they're on the issue of gender fluidity and all this, persons who menstruates. Which one is it? Be consistent with your contradictory ideology.
You know, your cycle, and this happened to me, your cycle can be really, really thrown off because of the trauma and the stress of being assaulted.
Hold on, let me let her finish that statement, because this is a good point she's making.
Really, really thrown off because of the trauma and the stress of being assaulted. You may miss a cycle. You may not even be pregnant.
Yeah, so, you know, she's saying your cycle may be thrown off because of the trauma of a sexual assault. And okay, that's fair. But imagine what a murder does to your cycle. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be one on TV either. But I can't imagine the trauma that killing a child of yours does. And this is coming from someone who's lost a child. I know there are other people who've lost a child, right? That's a traumatic experience. I can't imagine how much more that would be. It's hard for you losing your, a child in the womb from natural causes, things you couldn't even help, let alone intentionally killing a child.
You may miss a cycle because of the immense amount of trauma and stress of experiencing that. Perspective led me to carry a pregnancy or not is no one else's business but my own.
And in one sense, right? If you're talking about the act to become pregnant, but once you have a child in that womb, that goes way beyond you. I mean, there are many people involved. There's two people involved in that decision, right? What about the father's rights? And guess what? Oftentimes that, I think someone even mentioned it even in here. What about the baby's right? How come the baby doesn't get to say so? Right? Because the baby is not your body. You want to use the whole my body, my choice. Okay, do whatever you want with your body, but the baby is not your body. It's the baby's body. So, I mean, yes, you don't have the right over another human being. That's what's actually terrible about rape. It's someone violating another person's rights. But you're doing the same thing. You're violating another person's rights that isn't yours.
And it could have been my choice
to kill your child.
Whether it was my religious values or not led me to whatever that may be.
We're going to get further back into this religious, right? Because she claims to be a religious person, right? She claims to be religious. I find that ironic, but we're not going to harp too much right now because we're going to get to that.
The point is that your future and your life can belong to you. And
imagine thinking your future and your life is over because you had an unwanted pregnancy, right? Because you didn't plan for a pregnancy. Wow. When I was growing up, we told kids that they're valued and had worth no matter where they came from, rich, poor. But imagine believing that an unwanted child is, destroy someone's future. When you actually repeat their arguments back to them, you see how crazy this stuff sounds. Ban Mailer, hopefully I said that right. Grace and peace to you, by the way. A man successfully sued his partner who murdered their baby not too long ago. Yes. I always tell pro-abortion people, you guys make Casey Anthony a hero when she's actually evil. You guys remember Casey Anthony? It wasn't too long ago. Casey Anthony, she murdered her children. I don't remember how many it was. It was more than one. Like 2 or 3. She murdered her children. Right? And many of us see how despicable that is. Like, wow, that's disgusting. Right? Anyone who's murdered their children, we say, you are a terrible human being. You are a terrible parent. You are evil. But what's the difference between your 1-month-old and an 8-month in the womb? I'll tell you what's different. Location. As they say, location, location, location. That's the only difference. And maybe a little further development. That's the only difference between someone in the womb versus you exiting. Sad, right?
It is not anybody's, no person, no man, no person.
Whoa. What do you mean, no man? Birthing person, get it right. Menstruating person, get it right. Who are you to assume everyone's gender? Wow, such a bigot, right? See, these people can't be consistent with their own ideology. This is why I give them 10 minutes. They'll be talking like a rational person using gender pronouns. Right. Right. Exactly, Neelan. Very great point. Give these people 5-10 minutes. They'll be speaking like the rest of the sane world, right? Yeah, define a man. You're not a biologist, so please. I tell these people, don't assume my gender, please. It's so silly to use this argument in an abortion as if you know what a man or a woman is now. When you just 2 minutes ago talked about, what did you say, menstruating people. Now you know what a man is? Now you know what a woman is? That's right, Neela. This is a religion. This is a religion that causes you to lose brain cells, though. That's the sad thing about it. And let me go further, and I'm pretty sure Neela would agree. This is a cult. This is a cult. The sacrament of this religion is abortion. That is a great sacrifice of today. And I wish I could have find who said this, but I thought this was an excellent tweet. Guys, remember this because it all goes back to theology. It all goes back to the Bible. All this stuff going on. Abortion, it's a biblical argument because it's a moral one. I don't remember who said it, so forgive me if this is you. But this person said, abortion is a Christological heresy. What did they mean by that? Because abortion denies the humanity of that person. Right? And so we relay that to Jesus, right? Imagine them considering abortion. That would have been a Christological heresy, that Jesus was not fully man. They are denying the humanity of people in the womb. We'll flesh that out a little more, but that's just an intro.
Can take your body, can ethically take your body and use it how they want without your consent.
But you can do that to the child. I'm not trying to force you to do anything. It's not forced to say don't kill babies. Just like it's not forced to say, hey, don't murder your neighbor. No rational person would consider that force. But when we get to abortion, it's a whole set of different arguments.
And that is exactly what Republicans are doing right now. They are taking women's bodies and forcing themselves upon women's bodies, forcing their opinions.
Wait a second. Women? You see how, like I said, you give them enough rope and they eventually hang themselves. 5 minutes ago, right, we were told menstruating people. Now she knows what a woman is. Now all of a sudden she's a biologist, to use the Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? Now she knows what a woman is. That's right, Karen. Murder's never a choice. That's right. We were just told menstruating people, right? We were just told all that. Now we want to take control of women's bodies. Like I said, the self-contradictory nature of all this. And like I said, the reason why I'm reviewing this, people, because I want you guys, I want us all to catch on this. To be able, when you see it, to smile, put a smile on your face, because you see how contradictory it is, and be ready to call it out. Right? Be ready to say, hey, this is lunacy.
Their perspective on women's bodies without their consent. They are violating not just women, but trans people and non-binary people in this country.
Like I said, that's a whole mishmash of confusion all in one sentence. But like I said, it's I for the sake of not getting repetitive, there's, she wants to frame the argument in a certain way as we're violating women's bodies, but it's literally her. This is called the projection fallacy. It's literally you who are violating, and those who are for abortion that are violating a body. Literally, murder.
So all these people, I'm sorry, it's I have a lot of I'm really trying not to curse right now. But they are forcing themselves on our bodies without our consent. And they are trying to legislate that in the law. And that is honestly the similarity between rape culture and these horrifying anti-choice forced birth laws. Direct through line.
No. Not in the way you see it. There is a direct correlation. The one I made, that rape is violating of another human being, and abortion is a violation of another human being. But you see how when you're giving over to depravity, in your mind, it makes logical sense, even though there's no connection between the two.
It's shocking to me that frankly the Democratic establishment continues to support members in the Democratic Party who do not believe in a woman's right to choose or a person's right to choose. But
here's what I've started doing, and you guys can tell me what you think. Because she says the right to choose. I've started asking people, hold on, wait 1 second. The right to choose what? They'll say abortion. What is abortion? or and if they just kind of just playing around, I'll say, the right to choose to murder their children? I want them to hear what they're arguing for. The termination of the child, right? The child who is living to now no longer be living. That's what you're arguing for, the choice to, right? Yeah, Karen, she's right on with me. Great job. I want them to hear what they're arguing for. And I tell you what, it's been very powerful when I've had these discussions with friends and family members, when they hear themselves saying it. It's very hard, right? You know, if they still have some kind of conscience, right? Some kind of, humanly good in them, it'll be very hard for them to say it. So prick their conscience with God's law that abides in them.
Need to, whether you're a Republican or whether you're a Democrat, if you believe in taking women's choice away from them, you gotta go. That's just what it is. I mean, this is why when we talk about what's going on with abortion as well, it's like, I mean, that's the thing, is that no matter what your views are, I mean, and like, you're gonna have to excuse me for a moment, because as someone who did grow up in a religious household, I just find even the religious argument for mandating these laws is just so ridiculous. First of all, this country has a separation of church and state.
So she's saying, hey, even from a religious perspective, this is silly, even though I'm religious. Right? So the hypocrisy there. And now she's going to make us, well, we live in a secular government, so we should be secular, even though our government actually was founded on Christian values. But that's a whole nother topic. She wants, but as a religious person, wouldn't you want things like, so here's the thing. Okay, but why are you arguing like a secularist if you claim to be religious? Don't you want laws against theft? Oh, well, you're Democrat, so no. Don't you want laws against lying? Well, don't you want laws against murder? Well, no, you don't. Don't you want laws to protect women? Well, you can't define what a woman is. Don't you want law? You know what I'm saying? So you get to all these issues, and the issue of separation in church and state don't actually answer the question. I'm not arguing for a theocratic system. That's not what I'm arguing for. I'm just saying, let's be moral and not murder babies.
We do not live to the Republican Party's disappointment. We do not live in a...
Why don't you live according to that what you say you believe, the Bible, which you're going to use here in a second. And guys, get ready for one of the most terrible readings of scripture I have ever heard. Get ready. Sit back.
Christian theocracy, okay? We live in a multicultural and a multi-faith, including those who of no faith, democracy. And we live in a secular nation, and that secular democracy must be defended because it is what helps facilitate a safe nation for all who live in it, where all are respected. And so just as a person would not want to be forced into receiving an abortion, they should not force others into them into carrying a pregnancy.
You shouldn't force someone to carry a pregnancy. But why stop there, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Why stop there? Why should someone have to force you to raise a child till they're 18? Let's carry your logic out to its logical conclusion. Why should parents have to raise their child once they exit the womb? See, this isn't consistent. This isn't consistent at all. Why should you force me to pay taxes? Why should you force me to drive on the right side of the road? Why should you see how this breaks down? It breaks down in its own, because it's not logical.
And so this is not a Christian theocracy. And for people who say, "Oh, but you're harming a life. I believe this is life." Well, some religions don't.
Who cares? Who cares? The standard isn't what everybody thinks about it. According to science, even, which you guys love science, right? It's a child. It's a human. It's not something different. Let me break down a simple science lesson to you, AOC. Things reproduce according to its kind. Right? Lions beget lions. Dogs beget dogs. Right? What else? Zebras beget zebras. And so on and so forth. Humans beget humans. You are fundamentally not something different. You are not a different species. You don't become human. You don't turn human. You are human from the moment of conception. You're just at a different development. There's your science for you. There's your science. Now, how about that? As you just said.
So how about that?
Oh, there you
Our
go.
Jewish brothers and sisters, they are able to have an abortion according to their faith. You know,
Jews don't believe, well, if they go by the Old Testament, they go by their tradition, are not pro-choice. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let me show you some things, from what the Bible says, because she's going to use the Bible. She's going to try to use the Bible, and it's going to be a pretty interesting thing. Yeah. Even in Psalm 106, 37 to 38, it talks about, pagan nations sacrificing their sons and daughters to false gods. They shed innocent blood, the blood of their sons and daughters, whom they sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, and their land was desecrated by their blood. In the Bible, a fundamental principle is the Bible condemns the killing of the innocent. So that fundamental principle alone destroys your argument. But you want more? Because she's going to actually say that no one really thought about abortion like this until the fundamentalist Christians came along. Let me read from the Didache. The Didache, which was written about very early on. I think some people date it about 100 AD, very late dating. It says, "Thou shalt not murder a child by abortion, nor kill that which is begotten." Boom, very clear, right? Very clear. I mean, put it like this. From this one source I read, there's no approval from the Christians in the first 3 centuries of abortion. Not one. Not one. You hear that? But we're going to hear her say Christians didn't really care about abortion or something to that extent until just a few years ago with fundamentalism came along.
there are so many faiths that do not have the same definition of life as fundamentalist Christians.
So we're all to blame, the fundamentalists. Every other religion, so many religious faiths are pro-abortion. Well, even if that were true, it's irrelevant. But the one you just named is not pro-choice. And she's actually going to say Muslims, which, all due respect, Muslims aren't pro-choice. Now, according to their doctrine and dogma. Now, you may find Jews or a Muslim who claims to be those things, but not according to their faith. Not Roman Catholics, not Mormons. So who are these faiths you're talking about? I'm not saying you can't find one, but just be very specific of who you're talking about, because the ones you named are not pro-choice.
And so what about their rights? What about their right to exercise their faith?
What about their right to murder their children? How is murdering your children a fundamental thing in your faith? You need to find a new faith if killing your child is fundamental to your faith, because that is fundamentally rooted in paganism. Alexandria, that is rooted in paganism.
Ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
And it is theocratic. It's authoritarian. It is wrong. It's wrong. And
it is wrong to not want women to kill their children. Interesting.
Again, it's so crazy too, because I try not to get into the Christian and theocratic arguments, but seriously, as someone who grew up in a Christian household, I've been thinking a lot about a parable.
This is very dangerous when she starts thinking a lot. But watch her justification for this. Watch her justification for abortion using, guys, this is very offensive, using the Bible. Watch this. And you want to see somebody mess up the story of the Bible? Watch this.
A lot about a parable of Christ. And if you
before she gets into this, let me say this. And this applies to multiple subjects. Be careful of anyone whose primary when they want to prove a point, they go to historical, just a story in the Bible, or they go to parables over didactic teaching of the Bible, right? The Bible's very clear, thou shalt not murder. But she goes, instead of going to text like that, she goes to a text that says a parable, and now she twists the parable. Whenever people want to go to twist something in the Bible and prove a point, they often go to parables. They often go to a historical story. Be careful of people who, and that's not to say you can't find lessons from parables or historical stories, but those historical stories and parables are interpreted in light of the didactic teaching of the Bible. And this is, I'm kind of thinking about doing a video on this, just on how to study your Bible. Because I've often seen the abuses of parables. And here's going to be a good one right here.
You all would indulge me for a moment. For those who may not be Christian, those who happen to be Christian or may not be familiar with the story, it's still a story that I think would be is relevant in general, right? This parable, and the parable is of a woman. A lot of people may have heard the phrase like.
You see, the Bible has no confusion on what a woman is, and it doesn't fancy your ideas of gender confusion, but that's nevertheless. So I'll let you continue.
He without sin throw the first stone. Let's talk about that story for a second. In that story, there is a woman.
Sorry, I keep pausing, but I want to. Now she's going to use John chapter 8, which, if you're into textual criticism, you know that this story has been highly disputed, and many do not believe that it is actually original. Like I said, that's a position I hold, and I think there are valid reasons for holding that position. But nevertheless, we're going to actually hear her out, because she actually gets the story wrong in general. Yes, Bible study with AOC. I feel like I need coffee right now.
Who, and excuse me if I get like some of these small details.
And guys, it's not going to be small details. It's going to be major details she gets wrong in the story.
Off for generous interpretation, but I'm getting the gist of it here for you all. There's a story where there's a woman, right? She was not allowed to be granted a divorce from her husband. Her husband refused to grant her a divorce. Not that.
Wrong. That's not in John chapter 8. The story isn't about. She's convinced. I think she's confusing two stories. And she's even confusing the other story. It's a bad interpretation of that story anyway, but she's confusing the woman at the well versus the woman caught in adultery. Maybe she thinks they're the same woman. I don't know. I'm not sure. But she's confusing the story. John 8 is about the woman caught in adultery, not the woman who couldn't get in a divorce. At best, that's John chapter 4, the woman at the well. So she says, excuse me if I get a little details off. I mean, you got a whole story injected into this already. Let's keep going.
Time, if that happened, he had control, and that was that. And so, but for all intents and purposes, they were not really together. And there were also the Pharisees at this time, which were kind of very strong. They were strong religious / political-esque leaders. They kind of blurred the lines a little bit between.
But notice how she's trying to even, you know, you can see the point she's trying to lead you to. So that's why she has to throw in the, you know, the political, right? Because why she thinks that. I guess the Pharisees were the Republicans, I guess, in this story. But but go ahead. We'll go ahead.
Politics and religion. And many of these Pharisees were in a physical relationship with this woman.
What? What? Was she? I didn't catch that part the first time I heard this story. That's not in the Bible. But is she insinuating that the Pharisees were having sexual relations with this woman? Because she says they had a physical relationship. I don't know what she means by that.
Many of these Pharisees were in a physical relationship with this woman.
Do you guys think, am I stretching that out? I mean, maybe she means something else. That's very possible. But I don't know what, I mean, we that's generally used in a sexual context. So I have no clue what she's talking about there. No clue, not whatsoever. That's a very strange way. See, even more addition to this story is being added.
Now, let's be really clear about the power dynamic here.
Of course, you're going to get the power dynamics going in.
You have several powerful people doing this. It frankly really blurs the lines of consent. Because what choice would she really have when these people hold so much power in a time like that, right?
Everyone's lost because we have no clue where you're at in the story, AOC, because maybe you should have read the story before you came on a Instagram Live to talk about the story. Maybe you should, I mean, would have been good if you read from the Bible, actually. Maybe you don't own one, but I will send you one, AOC, if you need a Bible. I mean, they have it on your phone, but if you want a physical one, I'll be more than willing. But yeah, none of this is in the Bible. Yeah, none of this is in the Bible. I don't know. Was this the chosen version? I don't know. I you know, no clue what she's talking about.
And so at one point, one of the Pharisees is caught with a woman.
So I think she was talking about sexual relationship. I guess she was saying like this woman was having sexual relationships with all the Pharisees. That's nowhere. Hold on, let me read this, guys. So, chapter 8, verse 3. Like I said, it's highly disputed story, but nevertheless, I'm going to read it. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now, in the law of Moses commands us to stone such a woman. What do you say?" I mean, I'm reading here. It says nothing about she was caught with a Pharisee. We don't know who she was caught with. Talk about embellishing the story. This is a major L. Yeah, what Bible is this? I'm seriously trying to listen to her, but this isn't in the Bible, guys. This is why you should tell someone, hey, this is a great lesson in. If you're having a discussion with someone, go to the Bible, because many people will remember a story according to what they heard versus what the Bible actually says. Someone said, lift the Pharisee's head covered, and it's actually Bill Clinton. Plot thickens. Amazing story time with AOC.
And she is immediately marched out into the town square.
The town square? Like I said, I don't know where she's getting all this. I don't know where she's getting this. What is this? I don't know, the witch trials of Salem and Bible story time. I don't know.
And she's marched out before she's even able to get dressed. So they force her outside. She's barely dressed, trying to cover herself.
Even that isn't there. I seriously don't know where she's getting this. I don't know where she's got that. That's not even there. Like I said, she's reading into the story. It's a vivid imagination. Yes, I don't see any of this in the story. Yeah, she is really trying to make this good. And guys, by the way, just in case you've forgotten, this is supposed to be proving abortion is okay. She's messed up the story quite a bit, but yeah, that's the goal. Just a reminder.
And everyone is starting to surround the woman, and they're trying to figure out, wow, we caught her with one of the Pharisees. How fair. Evil, etc. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with her. Are we going to stone her, or etc. They're going through all of the options. Of course,
no, they're not. They're pretty clear. They want to stone her. As a matter of fact, they ask Jesus because they want to catch Jesus. They want to test him in this story. Like I said, I don't believe the story is original, but nevertheless, she messes it up completely. They're not in a circle around her. We don't know what the scene looked like. They're not going through the options. They only have one option. They want to kill her. That's very clear.
Pharisees doesn't really seem to be subject to any sort of similar treatment that she is, even though he was just as complicit. And if anything, he was the one that was abusing power and public trust. And
hold on, let me go back because
complicit. And if
hold on.
The woman, and they're trying to figure out, wow, we caught her with one of the Pharisees. How evil, etc. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with her. Are we going to stone her, or etc. They're going through all of the options. Of course, the Pharisees doesn't really seem to be subject to any sort of similar treatment that she is, even though he was just as complicit. And
well, she wasn't caught with the Pharisee, so yeah. So yeah. So yeah, your whole premise is wrong.
Anything, he was the one that was abusing power and public trust. And they're all surrounding her, trying to figure out what's
stone her, stone. I just try to imagine AOC Bible time, I mean, this makes a good version of how not to read the Bible.
Going on. And then they say, okay, there's this basically Christ has Christ has taken interest in what's going on. They call him over. He comes over and everyone starts...
He's already there.
Putting their attention to him on what to do. And he starts drawing in the sand, something in the sand, and people come out and they start to see that he has here written down, let he without sin cast the first stone.
That might be the only thing she's gotten right about the story so far, but I'll congratulate her on that, I guess.
He was talking about the Pharisees. He wasn't talking about her. And sometimes people interpret this story as implying that she was a sinner and everyone else is a sinner as well. And so sinners can't really judge sinners, like everybody just, kind of relax. But really, I think there's deeper meaning to that story. And because he essentially says to her, go forth. And
whoa, hold on. That's not what he said, right? Like I said, even like I said, disputed text. That's not what he said. She stood up, said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more." So Jesus tells her not to go live in sin, even according to this story. So just go forth, like keep doing what you're doing. Like, what do you? That's not what it was even said. Like I said, good old story time with AOC. Bible story time.
He doesn't condemn her. The people that did something wrong there were those who were abusing their power.
Not the woman, apparently. I mean, he even according to the story, he does say she sinned. He's just saying, I don't condemn you. So, go murder babies? How is that the conclusion of this story? I'm still, I mean, if you're anything like me, you're like, what's the point of this? Huh? I don't think she knows by now.
There are a lot of Pharisees, those kinds of types running around today, trying to abuse women, trying to take their autonomy away.
Someone said, is this liberation theology? This is what happens when you import liberation theology into the Bible. You can't even read the text.
And all in the name of a book that they haven't really studied that closely.
Oh, that killed me. I don't remember that part when I was editing. The irony. She abuses the story only to come and say, you Republicans haven't really even studied the Bible. And I could almost see the smug look like I have. Wow. She deserves one of these.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
She just gave me a layup. Speaking of Westbrook, she gave me a layup. Exactly, Kurt. Jesus didn't say that the woman was innocent. He simply forgave her. She's completely missing the point. Absolutely. I've never seen a person so unaware of themselves. This has got to be a clip in itself.
I believe in a separation of church and state.
Then why'd you go and use the Bible? I don't get the point of you using the Bible only to turn around and say the Bible doesn't have any say-so on how we should run our government. What's the point of the Bible then? Why'd you quote any of that?
I believe that my faith, whether I have it or not, has nothing to do with my public service.
Again, why use the Bible? That just destroys what you just said. That was all that AOC Bible story time was just so useless then.
Because we have a secular democracy. And for someone who says, go forth and sin no more, do you think I see that there's a comment here saying, oh, he was talking to her? Was he?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I don't know if she's read the story. So I guess someone on her Instagram and she's seeing a comment, someone saying, wait, he said go and sin no more. Bravo to that Instagram follower or commenter. Bravo. Because that's exactly was he talking to her? Yes. You want to know how we know this? Let me read verse 8. Verse 9. But when they heard it, speaking of the Pharisees, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. So it's just her and this woman. By the time verse 10 and 11 come around where he tells us, go and sin no more. Yes, he was talking to her. But what was he? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Look at that grin. Gotcha. That's right. She thinks like, oh, got him. No, you're just making yourself look silly right here. She's probably
was he? It's commonly interpreted.
It's commonly interpreted. No, there's no other way you can read that. He's alone with her. Who else is he talking to? It's just him and her having a conversation by this point. Matter of fact, he asks her a question and she answers, and then he responds to that. It's commonly interpreted. What are you talking about?
Why you always lying?
What are you talking about, girl?
Why you always lying?
Huh?
But read it again.
You read it.
Read it again.
You read it.
We have a secular democracy for a reason. Because having our democracy be secular is what helps us be a democracy. If it's not secular, it's a theocracy. And it allows for just all sorts of horrifying human rights abuses, which is what this is. So, there was no conclusion to that story, by the way. It just she just got done reading and it was like, well, almost as if it was self-evident of the point she was making, but we have left more clueless on why she read that story. Right? Like, again, that was supposed to approve abortion being okay, but I have no clue why she read that at this point. At all. At all. And people say, and I'm seeing some comments, and like, I want to make sure that I'm being interactive and stuff like that. I don't want to ignore everything. But, someone says, I like you, but I do believe that the way we believe in things like religion affect our service to others. I agree in that my faith has shaped my sense of morality. It has shaped my identity and my upbringing. But I do not impose my faith on others.
Okay. But Alexandria, I gotta say it, in my accent. Alexandria. Okay, you don't impose your faith on others. Okay, bearing all that. The Bible's very clear on not to murder anyone else. But you don't even agree with your faith, allegedly. Faith. Supposed faith. Apparent faith. Faith in what? The devils believe. Satan has faith. He believes. In this mere, you want to use that in the mere faith. So what are you talking about?
And, or not, I can't, if I were an atheist, I can't force people to not practice their faith.
But you are forcing people, and you and even more, pink nose, you're funny. This whole section has been about condemning fundamentalist Christians. You've gone on for about 10 minutes condemning fundamentalist Christians who think like this, who think like me, right? Who think like a lot of people in my chat, who think like a lot of Christians, essentially, who thinks like the Bible says we should think, right? So you're very condemning.
I can't impose these things on other people, and that's why our democracy is so important. Because what I can do is that while that may shape, some of my perspectives, it doesn't allow me to impose those perspectives on others. And so, I just think that right now is a time that's just real.
1031 Productions. If I were an atheist, girl, ain't you? We can't tell the difference. How do you believe in God, right? A person of faith, whatever that means. And the atheist, right, who rejects God outright. And you both end up believing the same thing. Very interesting. You know how I tell people, man,
Think about it.
think about it. And you know what produces stuff like abortion? It's humanistic religion.
It's called selfism, the fastest growing religion.
Selfism. That's all it is. This is a religion in and of itself, and abortion is their sacrament.
Really, really important for us to stand with each other. And by the way, like, honestly, even like taking all of religion out of this is a small d democracy issue. The vast majority of Americans, whether they are secular, whether they adhere to a faith, whatever it is, the vast majority of Americans believe in a person's right to choose.
We're going to address that argument right here, because her argument is taking the religion out of it. The vast majority of people are for it. Well, some of you may know where I'm going here. Let's use that argument during the antebellum slavery times, right? Imagine a abolitionist, right? Someone against slavery comes and, you don't have to have a slave, but the vast majority of people are for slavery. So who are you to impose your fundamentalist ideas on me, right? Same argument, same principles. She would literally, who knows? She probably would have had, I don't know. I'm not gonna, but to use that argument, it is asinine. It's silly. It contradicts its own standard. If you make majority, if you make might makes right, the majority of people stand with me on this as your standard. You have no way of condemning a lot of the historical atrocities and evils that have happened in the past. Right? People have done a lot of wicked things, and the majority have been with them. So what? I don't care if I was the only person shouting that abortion was evil. That's not my argument. And it doesn't make, having a lot of people on your side doesn't make it okay. So it's very silly. Very silly. And I agree with you, Peter. I was addressing it from a presuppositional standpoint. Peter even says that is not true. It all depends on how the abortion question is asked. The percentages will vary a lot. I agree with you. Because there are a lot of people who are even atheists who are against abortion. Guys, I've ran into a strange world by addressing the abortion issue, that even unbelievers, some unbelievers, like atheists, are not pro-abortion. Who knew? Who knew? And does she ask about the majority? Someone says New York taxpayers paying for other states' residents to pay for their... Does she ask what the majority is when it comes to how she should regulate laws and things like that? No, she doesn't. She does it how she thinks is best. It's a double standard there, right? Very, very much so. But I have another guest who would like to come on. Just real quick. This should show us, he's a little under the weather, so his accent is a little off, and so I hope you can bear with him. He's going through some tough times. It's been a tough time in the media for him lately. But you're just gonna ask what he thinks about this. So, let's bring him on. How you doing? Yeah, doing real good. Just watching your show. And I thought it was excellent, the things you were saying about, abortion. I was enjoying it. Thought it was real good, real good. And so I learned a lot. I'm going to be thinking about some of the things you said, really thinking about it. And, we'll go from there. And so thanks for having me on. This is Eddie Murphy here, guys. Subscribe to All Things Theology Podcast, the Kdubtru's YouTube channel. You're going to like it. Real good. I learned a lot from the years of listening. I'm hoping to implant them in my heart one day, but back to the show. Well, appreciate it, man. I appreciate you stopping by and sharing your thoughts on that, man. Hey, you never know who's gonna come through here watching my show, my podcast. I've gotten to some, what do you call it? I've gotten to some popular people, lately I've been running into, and all you got to do is reach out, and some of them, real easy. We had Donald Trump come on earlier. We had Eddie Murphy. I mean, you just never know. Hold on one second. One more person is trying to get in here and make their appearance. Hello everybody, it's Morgan Freeman. Like I said, I really like the podcast of all things theology. I think it's excellent. I played the voiceover of God in many movies, and I just want to let everybody know I'm not God. I'm Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. And it's a very good podcast to listen to today. Very good. Very educational for the people at home. And so you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna learn a lot listening to this podcast. Like I said, you want to subscribe to the podcast. You're gonna learn a lot, and so we're gonna bring Kdub back on. Yeah, man, I appreciate you, Morgan Freeman, dropping by, man. As always, man. You can come on anytime and come listen to the Word of God. And so, man, hey, thank you all. Thank you all for joining today, listening. I hope it was educational. Hope it was informative. Yes. Got celebrities dropping on, man. You just never know what you may hear dropping on the podcast. My wife says, can't wait to grow old with you. Likewise, my dear. And so, yeah, you guys want to make sure you like this podcast. If I can't do it, maybe the celebrities can. I don't know. I don't know who you guys listen to more, me or them. Like the show, like this video. Gonna be continuing to do more things. Speaking of abortion, let me leave you guys with this. I'm going to be having shirts. Yes, shirts that you can support for that I will be selling. That will be pro-life shirts. And so you guys want to make sure you support. Waterloo sponsors big money, yes. I will be having a song drop very soon on abortion. Right? And so, guys, buy the shirt if you're able to. Listen to the song. It'll be on my YouTube channel, so you guys will see it. Also, you can buy it on iTunes and stuff, and when it comes out. So just support, man, any way you can. Even listening and sharing. That is great. Great, that'll be great. My wife says got a sneak peek of how they look. I will be doing a short soon on that, so you guys will be seeing it if you want to purchase it. And I'll put a link in the description. I'll post it over my social media. And so, yeah, you definitely want to get a shirt. Like I said, they're very good. I liked how they came out. I had a good brother work with me on the design. And so it'll also be it'll be a support of the All Things Theology podcast. And so, yes, new song on abortion, man. It's coming out soon, man. So like I said, and those who are, and this is why you want to get on the Patreon. This is why you want to become a YouTube member, because the YouTube members, the Patreon supporters, like I said, those are linked in the description below. They get to hear, the content first. That goes with all my YouTube content, my songs. I share it there first, and so you want to be up to date on that. And so, man, I thank you guys for listening, man. If you have any questions, you guys can hit me up. But you know how we do it here at All Things Theology. I'm your boy Kdub. Till the next time. Grace and peace, y'all. Grace and peace. Grace and peace, y'all. Till the next time, y'all. Grace and peace.